another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke, if you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Samir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man to go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queen.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
I'm getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
In my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations. America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of
It's a cut on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love. It's me now. You're my truth now. Yeah. taking the blame. A lot of y'all was at the freak off too, so don't put it all on me. That's just the truth. I've been up and down this road trying to find my peace. Confessions of a man without a relief. Oh, now, hey. In the mirror, I saw the truth hiding in plain view. I'm coming clean now, this burden to undo. We were all there dancing shadows in the night, acting wrong when we knew what was right. But deep inside, there's more you must see. In this room of mirrors, it's not just me. I walk this path with heavy chains, trying to shed those sins, erase the stains. I've seen the highs and the pushing low, fading in the spotlight, that's how it goes. Trying to clear the air, let the demons relieve. Every wrong turn and every mistake led me to this moment to let my soul quake. Plays a part in the shadows deep, lost in the game. These promises to keep. Okay, there we go again. Okay, so Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, let's see who is in here. Let's see who's in here. Let me turn up my volume. Okay, let me turn my volume up. I didn't realize it was so low. All right. So, hello, everyone. Who said Queen's looking like a leopard? Oh, y'all got jokes. All right. So, that all being said, let's get into it, honey, because Diddy spent another night in jail. Diddy spent a sleepless night in jail, I'm sure. Now, he thought that he was going to be able to bail out, and he made all of the preparations, he and his attorneys, so that he could do so. That's why they came to New York 2 weeks prior, according to his criminal defense attorney, Mark Agnifilo. But the interesting thing for me is, for those of you who missed the video that I uploaded yesterday about the bail being denied, if you missed that video, I just thought it was real crazy how Diddy's defense team seems to be trying to blame Cassie. Well, not seems to, they actually were trying to blame Cassie for Diddy beating the hell out of her on that video. That's real crazy, okay? But also, I think that the prosecution, okay, the feds, they're playing some kind of games. Because why are they emphasizing the freak offs and the baby oil? And then they only showed us the weapons and the baby oil in court. Okay, I thought that was all crazy. Or during the press conference. So anyway, but let's get into it, because we're going to hear what some legal experts say after they've weighed in on it. And also, Diddy's going to be denied bail again. And the reason why he's going to be denied bail again is because, for one, he has too much power and he has too many connections and ties for them to think that he couldn't still flee, even if they took his passport and even if he's talking about selling the private jet. Now, you just flew in on a private jet, but now you want people to think that you're not a flight risk. And also because of the nefarious charges and allegations and all these things against him. And it is common protocol that when someone has such charges against them as Diddy, that they're usually not granted bail. Okay? They're usually not granted bail. And so anyway, honey, I'm just trying to still figure out why they needed all these thousands of bottles of baby oil, because this is all crazy. All right, this is all crazy. But so let's get ready to get into it. Stacey said Diddy needs to be under the jail. Okay, Ted just said the baby oil had me crying. All right. So, like I said, we're going to hear from some legal experts what they have to say about it. Let's not forget that I told you on yesterday that in that indictment, they talked about asset forfeiture. They talked about taking Diddy's properties. Like if he gets convicted, which I'm sure he will, if he gets convicted, they can take all of his properties, his bank accounts, even his music catalog, possibly. So they can take these things if he's found guilty because, hey, they can say it's all obtained by ill-gotten gains. Okay. The money laundering, the racketeering, the S trafficking, okay, the illegal weapons, okay, all these things. And then let's not forget that they found drugs in his hotel room. So Diddy has not changed his ways. You would think that after all of these allegations came out, and then people started talking about, him doing all these drugs and stuff, that he would definitely have stopped. So I just find it all interesting that he's still doing these things. So likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now I'm going to go to this news report about the bail because today, this morning, I believe it is, they're supposed to appeal the hearing. I mean, appeal the bail denial. Okay, they're supposed to have a hearing to try to appeal that, but they're still going to lose. Okay, and here's the thing. Now, they took all of the passports from his kids and everything. They even took little Love. Love is only 1 year old. They even took her little passport. I just want you all to pay attention. This is all crazy. This is all real crazy. Likes up, everyone. Uh, Hold on. Queen Sam says, Queen, we'd like to thank you for showing the fake Nancy Drew how it's done authentically and factually. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Okay, I just try to put out the facts. I don't need to make up narratives and tell lies. All right, and so here we go. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
And I want to bring in ABC News legal contributor, former deputy district attorney for Orange County, California's homicide unit, Matt Murphy, for more. Matt, how did this go from Cassie Ventura filing a lawsuit against Diddy to now him facing this massive indictment?
Well, we've seen this before in cases like Bill Cosby and others, where one person finally comes forward and then it's followed by a flood of others. What's interesting about this case is this is a RICO case, and a lot of people sort of associate that with mafia cases, things like that. One of the words you hear over and over again in this indictment is enterprise, and that means that I suspect they've got people within his organization that are going to testify against him. Also, as far as the bail goes, these federal judges are afforded very wide discretion, and I agree. I don't think this is going to change. I think he's going to be in custody for the pendency of this trial.
The U.S. attorney said yesterday that his office isn't done investigating Diddy, so we could see more here. Is there a sense of what else prosecutors are looking for?
Well, I think that what they're looking for is they're looking for witnesses right now. After they went in, especially to the LA home, and we all saw those videos of the Bearcats, those big trucks going in, and they came out with computers. So they've got tapes of this. And I can tell you from working with the feds for a long time, they are pretty cautious about filing charges like this. So this was an indictment. It was presented to a grand jury. And I expect they're looking for people to lay the foundation, if they don't already have them, of this treasure trove of evidence that they found. So this is going to be quite a trial. I don't see a plea here. And I mean, 2 of these counts, you can do life in prison, in federal prison for this. So he's got a big battle ahead.
I also want to ask you about this new arrest in a double murder case outside of Washington, D.C., because in 2023, Christine Banfield and Joseph Ryan were found dead in her home. The family's au pair, who was allegedly having an affair with her husband, was arrested last fall. Now, Brendan.
So with that all being said, like I told you guys, I really don't think that Diddy's going to get bail today. They can go and appeal it all they want, but it's not going to happen. And like I said, the reason is because Diddy is a threat to society, and they've already deemed that by the fact that they said he's engaged in intimidating witnesses. Now, he called that young lady Kalina. He called her 54 times. And Diddy seems to have some sort of obsession with being menacing towards people and just calling people numerous of times. Remember in one of the articles, Kim Porter said that he called her like 60 times. Then Claudia Jordan said after the pictures surfaced of him and her together in Media Takeout when he was with Kim, that he basically called her like 52 times. She woke up to 52 texts.
Okay, so Diddy is just, he's a bully. Absolutely. That's what he is. What was he calling to say to Kalina? I have a lot of questions. Now, Kalina did come out and speak on it, basically denying the stuff that Dawn Richards said for the most part. Kalina Harper denies claims raised in Dawn Richards' lawsuit that she saw Sean Diddy Combs abuse Cassie Ventura. So she's saying that she didn't see that. And remember, before she spoke in Diddy's behalf, speaking favorably of him. Okay, and so let's talk about it. Uh, Kalina Harper is sharing her thoughts about being mentioned in Dawn Richards' recent lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs. Taking to her Instagram stories on Friday, September 13th, Harper responded to the claims made by Richard in her recent complaint against Combs. Okay, that the two women allegedly saw the music mogul abuse singer Cassie Ventura at his Los Angeles home. Now she says, I acknowledge the recent lawsuit filed by Dawn Richard, in which my name has been mentioned 33 times. This is what she said, which was shared as plain text on a gray background. While I fully respect Dawn's right to recount her experiences, I want to emphasize that her account reflects her personal perspective and should not be interpreted as a universal truth applicable to everyone involved. Harper continued to say that it's important to understand that while I was present in some of the same professional settings mentioned, many of the allegations and incidents described in this suit are not representative of my experiences, and some do not align with my own truth. Now, speaking of her husband, the singer-songwriter added, Tony and I have always conducted ourselves with the highest level of professionalism and integrity. We are not involved in, nor were we aware of any behavior that could be considered abusive or harmful or unlawful. As this matter now is part of an ongoing legal process, I will refrain from discussing any specific details any further. Okay, she concluded. My focus continues to be on my same dedication and positivity that have always guided me. I trust that the legal system will handle this case with the fairness and thoroughness it requires, and I support any process that seeks to uncover the truth. Now, according to court documents obtained by People, Richard, who gained fame as a member of the Combs formed girl group Danity Kane, filed a complaint in New York federal court on September the 10th, alleging that the music mogul SC sexually and verbally abused her for nearly 10 years. So Kalina's denying it all. Now, did the 54 calls that Diddy made to her sway her, skew her decision? I don't know. What did he want when he was calling her all those times? I just have a whole lot of questions. Okay, and so with that all been said, she's one that's not going to turn against Diddy. Experts have to say. I'm going to play this audio. It's like a panel discussion of legal experts and what they have to say about Diddy and the things that, have been alleged against him. Okay? So let's get into it. And then I'm going to give my own take on a few things. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance, beloved.
Let's bring in criminal defense attorney Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise, and they actually named it in the indictment, the Combs Enterprise. And they said that this enterprise consisted of him as the alleged leader, his employees, assistants, staff, allegedly, that were able to procure women and alleged male sex workers to engage in performances for his own sexual gratification. Where it differs from a mob indictment, it has all the elements of putting together this racketeering allegation of all these moving pieces using resources from his businesses. But the fact that this is about an allegation of sexual gratification being accomplished by alleged human trafficking, it's one of the most unique indictments I've ever seen in this area, in the area of sex crimes, because the government isn't actually prosecuting the sex crimes other than the human trafficking or the sex trafficking. They're not prosecuting any type of alleged sexual abuse to women, although that's part of this racketeering scheme. But the actual charges are racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transporting individuals over state lines to engage in prostitution. the reasoning around all of this, his alleged motivation as presented in that indictment by the government is for his own personal gratification. And that's just the strangest type of indictment I've ever seen. But I agree with you. This indictment reads, it's very disturbing. The facts presented are out of, a very bad Hollywood story. And a lot of the evidence, alleged evidence that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these sexual performances that have been named freak-offs. And there seems to be a ton of evidence allegedly tying this scheme together. So it's an interesting way of prosecuting it, but I understand why they did it that way.
So what did you make of what Elizabeth Wagmeister just reported? And obviously, Sean Diddy Combs and his attorneys they're going to get their day in court. But the idea that the government, in their characterization, does not say that anybody did any of these things non-consensually. What do you make of that?
I make of that as being a big flaw already in the government's case, which the defense was quick to point out. Even if he was engaging in this alleged conduct, there was no allegation or no statement in that indictment saying that any of these alleged victims or alleged witnesses willingly participated in some of these acts that people find offensive, that are sound to be offensive. And that's a very important part of the case. What was the consent? But there are enough charges here where outside of what the alleged victims are going to say about how he was using the resources allegedly from his enterprises, his businesses, his well-known bad boy entertainment, his clothing line resources, his liquor line resources. Allegedly, there were funds used from that resources to engage in this alleged prostitution activity across state lines. And that's why it's a federal case, because it's across straight lines. So there are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like just from reading this 14-page indictment that there's enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see. These are allegations.
So the Office of the Southern District of New York seems awfully confident about their ability to handle the scope and complexity of the case. But still, why do you think it took them so long for them to go after Combs, considering they allege his crimes have been going on for more than a decade?
My theory is that the government had an easy time putting together this final prosecution because of all the civil actions existing against Sean Combs right now. The case with Cassie, which that video was shown, his former girlfriend, where he was seen assaulting her. It looked like certainly that he was assaulting her on video. I think the government and investigators were able to accumulate all this easy evidence that was just handed to them from the attorneys who prepared the civil cases that are now pending against him. I think things just started piling up, and eventually Sean Combs got to a place where his luck ran out, and therefore he was indicted and arraigned.
We're going to fight this case with everything we have, as is he, and eventually he's going to be shown to be innocent.
That was the attorney for music mogul Sean Diddy Combs vowing to fight for Combs after a judge denied the rapper and music mogul bail and ordered him to stay in federal detention until the beginning of his criminal sex crimes trial. Combs faces 3 federal charges, racketeering.
First of all, I just want you all to pay attention because Diddy's defense team, specifically Mark Agnifilo, now as good and as high a profile attorney as he's supposed to be, I find it very interesting some of the things that he's been saying because he sounds ridiculous in my opinion. Now he's sitting here saying that Diddy is not a criminal. He's not perfect, but he's no criminal. Well, of course he's a criminal. Now, even if he's trying to give off the narrative that he's not guilty of the things of which he stands accused and which he was indicted for, that does not negate the fact that Diddy is absolutely a criminal. Now, he should know that because Diddy has been arrested before for hitting his son's coach with a kettlebell, for the assault with Cassie. Remember in 2010, I believe it was, when Cassie's mother called the police. But even though Diddy wasn't arrested, There have been a myriad of things that would prove that Diddy is a whole criminal. He literally was on trial for the incident that happened in 1999 with the shooting. So what is he talking about? He's not a criminal. This all sounds real ignorant to me when he's saying these things. I'm like, and then for them to try to even paint the foolish narrative that Cassie went upside Diddy's head with her cell phone because she saw text messages from other women in his phone and then said that she took his clothes off. So how did she get his clothes off? This is a grown man. How did Cassie get his clothes off? Okay, please make it all make sense. This is so ridiculous. At the end of the day, like they are just painting the most ridiculous narratives. I'm just like so shocked and appalled that for these high profile attorneys that Diddy is spending all this money for, this is what they're putting out. Like it's beyond ridiculous. Okay, you can't believe anything Diddy says, and of course you can't, as we can see, believe anything his attorneys are saying. At the end of the day, now, I would never have said that my client was not a criminal when I know that he has been arrested a myriad of times before and accused of things that were specifically acts of violence for decades. Just ridiculous. But anyway, let's continue.
Racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs has pleaded not guilty to those charges. In an unsealed indictment, prosecutors allege Combs, quote, abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct, unquote. It goes on to say, quote, on numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them, unquote. Combs has been for years a celebrated artist. His work is credited with growing the hip hop genre and cultivating top artists such as Christopher Wallace, better known as Notorious B.I.G. And now Combs is obviously a criminal defendant. CNN's Ellie Honig, who used to work as a prosecutor for the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York, joins us now. Ellie, as he was leaving court for the day, Combs' attorney said they're appealing the decision on bail. How likely is that appeal to succeed?
Right, Jake. So people understand what happened. The judge who made the decision today was a magistrate judge. That is essentially a judge who handles ministerial tasks, initial appearances. Tomorrow, the defense will take the case to the district judge. That's the judge who will handle this case all the way through trial. If I had to guess, I would say the district judge will agree with the magistrate judge and keep Sean Combs locked up. First of all, the law says that when a person's facing the charges Sean Combs is facing, the presumption is that he gets locked up pending trial. So the field is automatically tilted in the prosecution's favor. He is looking at a minimum of 15 years behind bars if he's convicted. The prosecutors argue that. And finally, prosecutors argued intensely that Sean Combs is engaged in constant obstruction of justice, intimidating witnesses, bribing witnesses, and that usually strikes a chord with judges when they're considering bail.
What do you make of the charges and the indictment? Does it seem solid to you? One of the responses from Sean Combs' defense team seemed to be they don't have anybody who alleges that they did anything non-consensual.
Yeah, I don't get that read out of the indictment. Of course, we're hearing from both sides. Now, it strikes me as a strong indictment. We do have to keep in mind it's a one-sided document. It's the prosecution's allegations. But a couple things jump out to me. First of all, they have videotape. We've all seen the videotape of the assault on one of those women who's alleged to be a victim. That's going to be a really tough piece of evidence for the defense. And if you look beyond the indictment, there was a companion document filed today that says that prosecutors have talked to and plan to call dozens of victims and witnesses. So even if the defense can discredit one or two or three, they're going to have to deal with dozens of victims pointing the finger at Sean Combs.
So you used.
Okay, let me stop right here and say this. Now, they keep saying, excuse me, because the guy said, and the female that was on there just said, that there's nothing in the indictment about people not being consenting to these acts with these freak-offs or what have you. Well, I find that interesting because I could have sworn when I went through the indictment, all 14 pages with you guys on yesterday, that it specifically said that some of these people were drugged. So if people are drugged, what are they talking about? There's no one saying there was no consent. If you're drugged, you can't give consent. So that makes no sense what they're saying. Okay, just think about that. They said in the indictment that people were drugged, that they were given copious amounts of drugs and all of that. So how can you consent? So I don't understand why they're saying that. Did they skip over that part? Did they not interpret it correctly, or did they just not see it? I don't know. But there was absolutely no consent if people were high off of drugs that were given to them. Now, did they agree to take the drugs? I don't know. But nonetheless, that doesn't give consent for someone to have relations with them. Okay. And so please pay attention. This is all crazy. And then another thing is, the one of the reasons, the main reasons that Diddy is not going to get bail is because Diddy is a whole threat. Like I told you, now this is the same man who allegedly threatened a member of the Sinaloa cartel. Yeah, you're out here threatening a cartel member. Well, that says a whole lot about you. He's really like a whole mafioso, like I keep telling you guys. So he's not going to get bail. That's just not going to happen, okay? Diddy's too dangerous as far as they're concerned.
Used to specialize in prosecuting racketeering cases at this U.S. Attorney's Office. How exactly do racketeering charges play out here, and how does it give prosecutors an advantage?
Racketeering charges are such a powerful weapon for prosecutors, and I used to use that tool quite effectively, I think. What prosecutors have done here is allege that Sean Combs was at the head of an organization, a racketeering organization, a criminal enterprise that committed multiple crimes that were connected to one another. And what that allows you to do as a prosecutor is to pour in evidence of all manner of crimes. And here prosecutors allege that Sean Combs committed this enterprise by committing assault, extortion, drug trafficking, with firearms offenses, with obstruction of justice. And so you end up as a prosecutor able to put this massive evidence of various types of crimes in front of a jury. So it's a lot for defense lawyers to respond to. And it really is an advantage for prosecutors if they can prove the core allegations.
You're familiar with not only this prosecutor's office, but the judge assigned in this case. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so Judge Andrew Carter, first of all, is assigned to this case. He was a magistrate, as I mentioned before, in Brooklyn before this. His background primarily has been as a defense lawyer. He was a longtime public defender. He's deeply respected in the New York legal community. The prosecuting office here is the Southern District of New York. Maybe I'm biased. I used to work there, but it's known for charging and getting convictions in high-profile, high-stakes case. That's what the Southern District has done for decades now. They're no strangers to this type of case. I will say, at the risk of sounding like a homer, if they bring a case, they typically have the goods. They have their case buttoned up.
All right, Ellie Honig, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Let's get some more on this with our legal and entertainment experts. And Joey Jackson, I'll start with you. How much does it speak to the severity of these charges against Combs that the judge denied his bail?
Says everything, Wolf, for a variety of factors. Number one, certainly, generally, you would be given bail if there's any condition or combination of conditions that would ensure, A, you return to court, and B, there's an issue as to whether you're a danger to the community. Because of the manner in which the indictment was laid out, speaking about over a 16-year period, allegations with respect to what he allegedly did, it becomes problematic. Let me tell you what the concerns are very briefly. Number one, you have very motivated accusers, right? Very motivated people. We know that because they laid out the allegations in lawsuits. Lawsuits are civil in nature, not criminal. But I think that provided a treasure trove of information for the federal government to do what they did. Number two, with respect to the seizure of things, right? Evidence from his properties in California and Miami, videos, the other things in terms of Elizabeth's excellent piece moving into this, the lubricant, the cocaine, the other things that were taken, drugs, what have you. It's really concerning. And so at the end of the day, Wolf, it's going to be established with proof or not proof. But here's the last thing. This is a case, the United States of America versus Sean Combs. Why do I say that? Because a lot of other people who could have been charged in this indictment with him were not. What does that say to me as a defense attorney? That they are cooperating with the government. So you have the accusers.
Okay, so pay attention to what he said. He said there's a lot of other people who could have been charged along with Diddy, but they were not charged. So what does that say to him? He says that they're cooperating. Well, of course they are. And even like I told you guys the other day, Cassie could be considered an unindicted co-conspirator. Okay, and so could several other people I'm pretty sure of. With that all being said, excuse me, some of the people that aren't being indicted would likely be people like Lucian Grange, Clive Davis, okay, other people like that in powerful positions. Now, this is just my speculation, but at the end of the day, what isn't going to happen, because, some people were saying yesterday there's going to be a whole bunch of people going down with Diddy. No, there isn't. I think that's exactly what they're trying to stop. What they're trying to make sure doesn't happen is I don't think they want to take anybody down with Diddy. Now, they want to use people to get information to get Diddy on all of his dirt. But at the end of the day, some of these people, I do believe that they're absolutely going to protect. Their names will not be mentioned. Okay, not in a nefarious way, at the end of the day, and their culpability will be minimized. Okay, if not completely stricken from the record. So that's just what I think. And I also feel like this is the reason in that indictment that it mostly focused on the freak offs. Okay, the indictment mostly focused on the freak offs. Okay, make that make sense. Okay, it talked about freak offs and baby oil and all of that. But what about all of the other things that were going on, like these the hired sex workers, the way that they went down to the booby trap or whatever that strip club is called, and they were recruiting people and all of that. Okay, what about people being forced to have sexual acts? Okay, these people that were threatened and intimidated into doing certain things like Idra English claims that she was. Okay, I mean, I just have a whole lot of questions. At the end of the day, it seems to me like they're just going kind of, it's like they're almost being kind of safe. It's like the feds are playing games because where's the hardcore charges? I mean, they're painting Diddy as a cartel boss or as a mafia boss. They talk about Sean Combs' enterprise. Okay, and they're calling it an enterprise so that everybody who was affiliated with him in any capacity of any of these parties or things that were going on, they can be held accountable unless they give the feds what they want. And that means exposing Diddy, telling them what they know about Diddy and the shenanigans that he was engaged in. And that's also, of course, how they get him on the RICO. But at the end of the day, it just seems kind of fishy to me, like they're leaving out some serious details. Okay. They're leaving out some serious details. I mean, they didn't really even mention the footage that they confiscated from Diddy's house, the 250 cameras. They didn't really talk so much about that. They just talked about the lube and all that stuff. Who really cares about that? Now, what it seems like they're doing is they're trying to paint the picture, in my opinion, the feds, that is, it seems like they're trying to paint the picture that all of this stuff that Diddy was dabbling in, that he was engaged in, had everything to do with his own sexual gratification. Like all of this was done because of a depraved man who was so caught up with his sexual gratification that he was willing to do anything and everything to do so. But I don't think that's the gist of it. I think it was more so about Diddy humiliating people, wielding his power, and acting as though he was, untouchable. That's why I think he did a lot of these things, and also to put people in their places because he felt like nobody was on his level. He's much more dangerous than they're displaying him to be, in my opinion, because when they're talking about freak offs and all that, that doesn't sound scary. Diddy is scary as hell. Anybody who would go and have someone put a Molotov cocktail in somebody's sunroof at the same time that they've kidnapped someone else, okay, just to send a message. Anyone who would dangle someone over a 17-foot balcony, allegedly. Anyone who would go into a restroom with someone and that person ends up being shot, they walk out and tell everybody else, you better not say anything. Why are we talking about these things? These things are nefarious, much more detrimental than freak-offs. Now, are they using the freak-offs to tie into the sex trafficking? Because that's definitely what it was when he took people across state lines and even international lines. So maybe that's why they're emphasizing on it, but it just seems to me like they're just being real careful of what they say and how they say it, because in my opinion, they don't want certain people to be exposed and called out and be held accountable. Okay, that's just what it seems like to me, but let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
that are there giving their story, innocent until proven guilty, but you have other people who you could say were his enablers who are not being looked at by the government, who are looking at helping the government prove their case. So it says an awful lot that he's detained at this point without bail. There'll be an appeal on that issue. We'll see what a court has to say thereafter.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Lisa Bonner is with us as well. Lisa, to Joey's point, and he made very strong points, the judge said in her words, and I'm quoting her now, my concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors, even when pretrial services is monitoring. It's pretty chilling. What do you make of that?
Well, I make of that they really do believe that Sean Combs is a flight risk, and they also really believe that he is a danger to society. As Joey said, no, he did not act alone. So there were enablers from his employees, his coworkers, his assistants, to other people in law enforcement that have aided and abetted him in carrying out these crimes. So the judge made clear that there was nothing that she could determine that would really grant bail. Now, I wanted to point out that this is a magistrate judge, and the magistrate judge is really more ministerial in nature, meaning that tomorrow or the day after or soon thereafter, that this case will be given to the district judge who will be hearing this. Now, at that point, they will indeed his defense team will indeed try to convince the judge once again that Sean is not a flight risk and that he should be entitled to bail. I personally do not see that happening for the reasons that I mentioned, but that is what they will argue.
Interesting. Lisa Respers-France is with us as well. Lisa, that disturbing, very disturbing video of Combs abusing Casey Ventura at that hotel in Los Angeles was a key point of evidence in today's hearing. How significant was that? And put into perspective for us Combs's enormous fall from grace.
It was very significant because up until that point, people were saying that Cassie Ventura and other people who were accusing him were lying and just going for a big payday. But here we see with our own eyes actually what happened and that her allegations were true. And so it's been very difficult for Diddy because he's a much bigger star than just hip hop. You know, people think of him in terms of being a rapper and a producer, but he had a fashion line. He had spirits. He had a restaurant. Like, Diddy is probably one of the biggest stars of our time. And so to see him go from last year in September receiving a key to the city in New York, where Diddy has literally referred to himself as the king of New York, Wolf. And so this was a big deal. And then in June, after we aired that exclusive video, Mayor Adams then asked for that key back. And so Diddy returned the key because he had to, because it became such a huge deal. Because it's one thing to be accused in a civil case or civil cases when it comes to Diddy, but it's quite another thing to see with our own eyes someone being brutally abused like Cassie Ventura was. And so consequently, Wolf, when you had that, it opened up the possibility that other people must not be lying either, is how a lot of people in the industry felt. And I personally, I don't see how he comes back from this.
Yeah, we showed our viewers some video of Combs actually receiving that key to the city of New York. Joey, you heard Combs' attorney say they're appealing this decision in a hearing tomorrow. What would they try to argue to get this bail decision reversed, and how likely is that?
So, Wolf, what they will argue is we know that at the outset of this case that he moved to New York. And what they're going to say is that, listen, he wasn't fleeing anywhere. Yes, he's well-resourced. Yes, he can go to anywhere really in the world if he wanted to, but he didn't. He came here to New York to fight the charges. Number two, in addition to coming to New York, he offered to surrender. They chose it as prosecutors to get him at the hotel. Why? That was the indication that they were going to look to detain him, right, indefinitely until the case comes. And number three, they'll argue that, yes, these are decades allegations in terms of 2008 to present, but what they will say is that, you know, he hasn't, as of late, been certainly a danger to the community, and these certainly are allegations. Last point, Wolf, and that's this. These are life-changing allegations. Every indictment is, but there's also a forfeiture provision in here. So irrespective of whether he's detained or he's out, if he's convicted on this, and it's an indictment, which is a mere allegation, this has to be proven in court to be clear. But if he's convicted, the government can forfeit everything from the criminal enterprise. That is his world. That means the government could take everything and anything that was a result, right, of proceeds from who he is and what he does, entertainment or otherwise. So this could change his life as he knows it. And ultimately, that's going to depend upon whether the government proves the case beyond a reasonable doubt.
And potentially, he could spend many, many years in prison, right, Joey? Maybe the rest of his life?
Without question, you're looking at potentially a 15-year mandatory minimum, in addition to, it depends, of course, a life sentence. Now, in the federal government, very briefly, there are these sentencing guidelines. Sentencing guidelines are predicated upon who you are, but listen, these allegations could keep him behind the bars for a long time.
Certainly true. Lisa Bonner, let me go back to you. In cases like this, how much do you weigh putting the survivors through a trial versus exploring potentially a plea deal that could spare them having to testify?
Well, I don't foresee them really accepting a plea. At this point, there is so much evidence that is levied against him, and the indictment is very strong. It is specific, it is laid out in detail, and it is very extensive. And so when you look at that and you look at the vehement denials that Sean has given over the course of this past year, and it wasn't until the video evidence came out with Cassie Ventura, where he was seen brutally beating her, kicking her, dragging her by the hair, throwing a vase at her. And so at this point, really, he was really denying all of that. So I don't really foresee that changing. He had an opportunity at some point. He knew this was coming. He still was trying to negotiate a surrender versus a plea. So I really don't think that they're going to be inclined to offer a plea, or will Sean be inclined to offer or accept one? So I do see this playing out in court, very similar to what R. Kelly did. And that was tried over just across the bridge at the Eastern District of New York. So I really do not foresee any kind of plea. And it is unfortunate for the survivors because you are pitting them up against the evidence and having to speak on that.
All right, Lisa, thank you. Lisa, Joey, and Lisa, thanks to all of you. Appreciate it very much.
Our legal analyst is Michael Moore. Michael's with me now. Let's just deal with if you will, the logistics before we turn to the gravamen. The refusal of bail in these circumstances, bearing in mind he'd flown to New York to turn himself in, so he was preempted by the police. Are you surprised that he was refused bail?
Well, I'm glad to be with you. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, the nature of these charges are so serious, the allegations are so serious, that it's not surprising that this hearing he was denied bail. The judge has to look at things like whether or not he can be expected to return to court. Does he have the manner and means to perhaps evade law enforcement and not appear? Is he a flight risk, in other words? And so I think at this point, the judge has decided that the fact that he was doing these acts in secret did not obviously lend much to his statements that he will be open and available. So I'm not surprised at all. But again, we will see what the district judge now does, since the case has been, or the decision has been at least appealed up, whether or not there are some terms of bail that might make the court comfortable that he will show up for court.
Now, turning to the charges themselves, they are amongst the most serious, which would involve very long periods of incarceration if convicted. But it also raises the question, if there was a plea deal at some point in the future, to plead down from these very serious charges, the lesser accepted offenses would also be serious and could end up in prison.
I think any plea discussion of the case, because you have such significant impact on the victims of the case, would necessitate that he be sentenced to prison in some way. I just don't think that a judge would take and place him on probation or some type of house arrest, given the allegations that were made, no matter what the plea discussions were. And remember, the prosecution and a defendant can negotiate a plea amongst themselves, but a court has the decision finally on whether or not to accept that recommendation, and ultimately has the authority to make a decision about whether or not a prison sentence is appropriate. We operate under the federal sentencing guidelines. Those give the judge some parameters to
Okay, so let me tell you all right now, Diddy's not getting a plea deal, okay? He's not getting a plea deal because here's the thing. These charges that Diddy has, they have an amplifier, okay? They basically, let me see, honey, because first of all, okay, now here's the thing. This case actually, like they said, with all of these harsh charges, he's not going to get a plea deal. First of all, there's an amplifier in the case, which means that the judge could even go. Now, he's talking about federal sentencing guidelines. Well, the judge could even give a stiffer punishment than the guidelines because of the amplifier in this case, because there is a special sentencing factor, which depends on severity of the guilt. Okay, severity of the guilty verdict, previous crimes. Diddy has committed previous crimes. Now, he may have gotten off. People may have not wanted to testify. Shine took the fall. There have been a myriad of things. He's attacked people and all of that, and people settled, or whatever. But at the end of the day, he has previous crimes. Okay, let's not forget City College and all of that. Now, also, the criminal enterprise element, the fact that they're painting him as a mafia boss, okay, basically, that's what he was. He just isn't Italian, okay? He was literally a mafia boss as far as they're concerned. And also the amount of time that that he has engaged in this criminal enterprise, which by my calculations would be about 30 plus years, okay? About 30 plus years, over 3 decades. So yeah, there's definitely a special sentencing factor, which could mean that at the end of the trial, whatever the jury recommends or whatever the prosecution's asking for, the judge could give an even stiffer punishment at the last minute based on their own discretion. Okay, so Judge Diddy's he's not getting any kind of deal. Okay, that's what he's not getting. Okay, this is just all too much. All the things that he's accused of and all the things that he's done, there's no way he's getting a deal. So, with that all being said, let's hear what his attorney said, because Mark Agnifilo sat down for an interview with CNN on yesterday. And so let's go to what he had to say. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And here's the thing, for those of you who missed it, I did say on yesterday that the reason that they swooped in and got Diddy on Monday rather than allowing him to turn himself in on Tuesday, because they wanted to detain him prior to the trial. They wanted to make sure that he sits in jail prior to the trial, that he's not out just roaming around freely. And for the best way for them to do that, to get the judge to not give him a bail, would be for them to arrest him and not let him turn himself in. Because if he turned himself in, then it looks like, oh, he's not a flight risk. He came all the way to New York 2 weeks ago. He's been making preparations. He's already said that he'll give the house, for his bail, the $48 million mansion. And they had everything set up, hoping that he would get bail. But the feds were like, nope, we want him to sit right here. So first I was thinking, well, maybe Diddy tried to flee, or maybe they got a feeling that he was going to try to go on the run or do something shady. Maybe he's been accused of something else. Maybe that's why they got him on Monday night. But no, it's because they wanted him to have to sit in jail. They don't want him to get a bail. And that was the best way to do it. We don't want him to turn himself in, because now it looks like he's cooperating. And another thing, speaking of cooperating, now Diddy's attorney had been saying all this time that Diddy has been cooperating with the investigation. Well, no, he hasn't. He hasn't been cooperating with the investigation. What he's doing, he's been obstructing the investigation, okay? Basically, if he's been intimidating witnesses, if he's calling Kalina Harper 54 times after Dawn Richard filed the lawsuit against him and included Kalina's name in there 33 times. And also, let's not forget about his alleged private eye that he hired, okay? That man who was calling the young lady on TikTok who was doing the videos. Remember, I played you the recording because she recorded their conversation. So he was working for Diddy. He's sitting here trying to intimidate people who are telling stories about Diddy, who are reporting on Diddy. So how is that cooperating with the feds? Okay, that's working against the feds. That's trying to hide and get rid of evidence. That's trying to stop people from speaking out. That's witness intimidation and witness tampering. Okay, and so please pay attention. And also, at the end of the day, with somebody like Diddy, you have to be careful, because Diddy could be one of those people who would, in fact, if he were out roaming freely, try to get someone to even tamper with the jury. See, they know this. Okay, if he's willing to intimidate witnesses and threaten them and their families, as has been alleged, then he would likely try the same thing with the jury, because clearly Diddy is desperate. He knows he's going down. There's no way out. There's no way to run and no way to hide. And quite frankly, if I were Diddy, I would have gone on the run a long time ago. Okay, I'd have taken that plane, honey, and I'd have gone somewhere that they would not be able to extradite me because Diddy's going down. He's done most of the things to which he's accused, in my opinion. Okay, that's just my opinion. And so at the end of the day, honey, if I was him, I'd be over there in Bali with Russell Simmons at this point. Please pay attention.
Is not only does your client pose a flight risk because obviously he's incredibly wealthy, has access to planes and a lot of staff, even though you said he turned over his passport to you months ago, they were also worried about him being able to interfere with witnesses and calling them. And so I guess the question is, how do you assure the court that that won't happen if prosecutors are saying, this is someone who's attempted to bribe security staff and has already threatened and interfered with witnesses?
So I think the most important thing, even more important than the passport, is that Mr. Combs came to New York on September 5th. As soon as we realized that this indictment was going to be coming down in a matter of weeks, maybe months, but sometime soon, Mr. Combs got on a plane, left his home in Florida, flew to New York. I called the prosecutors myself. I said, Mr. Combs is in New York. Do you want to know where he is? If you want to know where he is, I'll tell you where he is, but he wants to surrender. He's here to surrender. They didn't want him to surrender because if he surrenders, they don't get to tell the judge that he's a flight risk and he's a danger, because who, as a danger and a flight risk, would fly to New York and surrender? So they didn't want him to surrender.
So since September 5th, you had known, you expected it was likely he was going to formally face charges.
So I really knew he was formally going to face charges on March 25th, the day of the searches. When Homeland Security searched his.
Now, did you all notice how he completely tap danced around the question about Diddy calling the witnesses? He immediately went to the feds, didn't want him to turn himself in. But he didn't really get into any details about Diddy calling witnesses and witness tampering. Okay, please pay attention.
Los Angeles home, his Miami home, and his airplane. I knew that day by looking at the search warrants. I mean, I've been doing this for a while. This is not my first or 100th rodeo, that this was going to come as a matter of time. What I realized in early September is that it was coming soon. And so it was time for Mr. Combs to come to New York, which he did. And let me just point out one very important thing. The prosecutors are seizing on something that happened 8 years ago. You know, this video that we've all seen. And it's a bad video for Mr. Combs, and he said so himself when he gave his apology. This is 8 years ago, and the prosecutors are talking about him bribing a hotel security worker. There was no criminal investigation. This was just a matter of personal embarrassment because he and the person in the video were in the midst of a 10-year relationship that was difficult at times, that was toxic at times, but it was mutually so. And this whole notion that Mr. Combs is forcing drugs on someone is just nonsensical, and it's going to prove to not be true.
Well, on that.
Oh, I'm sorry, but he's doing a terrible job right now trying to convince us, because here's the thing. Cassie was literally addicted to drugs when she got with her husband, Alex Fine. He had to help her get off of the drugs. Okay. And there have been numerous of people in their allegations and suits against Diddy that have said that Diddy plied people with copious amounts of drugs. They found drugs in his hotel room on Monday night when he was arrested and apprehended. So what is he talking about? And then he says it was a toxic relationship and then it was on both ends. Okay, well, here's the thing. In the video that was 8 years ago, okay, he's trying to act like because it was 8 years ago that it's not relevant, but, you know, it is relevant because it speaks to Diddy's credibility. This is the same man who said that everybody was lying on him. He denied all the allegations, said it was a money grab. But then that video comes out. So now it's destroying his credibility. Now we see we can't believe anything he says. With that all being said, what we didn't see in the video, because he's acting like they were engaging in mutual combat, you know, in this relationship. Well, even if that were the case, they weren't doing so in the video. In the video, Diddy was the one doing the fighting, the punching, the kicking, and all of that. Cassie wasn't putting hands on him. She was trying to leave. And the fact that he sat there and said that Cassie went upside Diddy's home, I'm sorry, I have to keep bringing this up because it's so ridiculous to me. The fact that he sat there and said that Cassie went upside Diddy's head and that's how the whole thing started at the hotel, well, then why is she the one trying to escape and not Diddy? If she hit him upside the head because she was so mad that he had text messages and then she took his clothes off, why didn't Diddy pack his bags and run for the hills and try to get on the elevator? And why didn't Cassie follow him and beat the crap out of him? Because that's the way they try to make the story sound. I just want you all to pay attention. This is all such BS, but let's continue.
That video, he initially denied the allegations when his then girlfriend, who is in that video, filed a lawsuit last fall. And we have that video. I should note, CNN was the first outlet to exclusively report on it. He denied that happened when she filed it in a complaint. And then
complaint was sex crimes, and he denied that, and he still does.
Well, and you're saying that this is all just about that one relationship, but when you read through the indictment, they say that there's not just one victim. They say there's multiple victims here today. And what I heard described was they said they have 50 witnesses or victims.
Yeah, I think it's 49 witnesses and one victim. I think if you broke it down, and I say that because count 2, which is the sex trafficking count, has victim number 1, and there is no victim number 2 anywhere in the indictment.
So you're saying that there are not other women, because what they were essentially arguing here is that he coerced and forced women into sex acts by using physical force, financial pressure, emotional abuse, and narcotics for what they described as these freak-off sessions. They saying that he self-described them as that.
Yeah, there's one victim in the indictment. That's the charging
but
document.
One victim does count, right?
No, of course, but I'm just not. It's not 50. I mean, what they did is a little too cute. Is it's 50 witnesses or victims. Well, it's one victim. That's all that's in the indictment.
Just because they may have mentioned only one victim in the indictment, which was the person named as labeled as victim 1, which is clearly Cassie, that doesn't mean that there are not other victims. What the hell is he talking about? And also, in that indictment, didn't it say something about him trafficking children? Because they said that some of the people were underage. Like, what is this man even talking about? Is he reading the same indictments that we read? Where is he getting this stuff from? Like, this is real crazy. Is he trying to lose the case? I have a whole lot of questions because this can't be his best work. I mean, it really can't for him to be so high profile and big time. This all sounds ridiculous to me, but let's continue.
Our reporter who was in the courtroom today said that he appeared to have a stunned expression on his face. Was he surprised that he was arrested last night?
No, he definitely was not. I mean, I told him myself in early September, you are going to be arrested soon, and you're going to be charged with racketeering, and you're going to be charged with sex trafficking. So come to New York. It wasn't a long conversation. He agreed. So we knew this was coming. And in fact, we offered that he would turn himself in.
So if there are these witnesses and victims, and as you're saying that you believe it's one victim and 49 witnesses who saw this behavior, that's pretty powerful, though, to have that many people who have, if they go to court and argue that they witnessed this behavior by your client.
Well,
what's your defense against that?
So my defense is very well established. I interviewed myself the different men who were being brought sort of into Mr. Combs and this person's intimate situation. I've flown around the country. I've interviewed a large number of them. There's not the slightest inkling, according to the interviews that I've done, of anything that's coercive, non-consensual. Nobody was too drunk. Nobody was too high. These were adults in a relationship. This is a 10-year relationship. We can't forget that. This is a 10-year relationship. And it was adults and consensual, and everybody who was there wanted to be there. So I feel very confident in our position.
You said you interviewed the men, but what about the women?
I haven't interviewed the woman. The woman's not available to me. She's presumably a grand jury witness, and we would not. We cannot try to interview a grand jury witness.
And you don't think that there are any other women who are going to say that they were coerced into this, given drugs, and essentially, as prosecutors were saying, that that's what kept them compliant?
So there are a lot of women in these civil cases. There's been a mountain of civil cases ever since the civil case that was filed in November. I don't see them as victims in the indictment. That's my point.
And so when you talk about that video of Cassie Ventura, that was his then girlfriend, in the video, I mean, just when you saw that, you said it's a bad video. It's pretty difficult to watch.
It is. No question. So let me tell you what happened.
Will that be used as evidence in court, do you think?
100%. 100%. One of these she found out that he was seeing someone else. She was going through his phone. She hit him in the head with his own phone. And then she walks into the hallway with 2 bags. One of the bags has all of his clothing taken from him, which is why he runs out in a towel. So this isn't her fleeing from one of these freak-offs. Why would she take his clothing? That's not what it is. And when the evidence comes out, this is going to be completely different than the government's portrayed it.
But on this video, and I just want to show that again now, how do you defend against allegations that he maybe just Cassie Ventura, but keeping these women in the fold?
Cassie Ventura lived by herself. She had her own house. She had a family. She had a career. And he was seeing another woman at the time. He wasn't around a lot. She could have done whatever she wanted to do. All of these allegations of, I was forced, I was coerced, I had to stay, are nonsense. And it's going to be proven to be so.
That video, in the indictment, it alleges that your client paid hotel staff $50,000 to make it disappear from the hotel surveillance system. Did he pay off the hotel staff?
Not that I know of. I know that's an allegation. I don't know that is true. What I was concerned about when I heard about this allegation is whether there was an allegation that there was some sort of law enforcement investigation pending, because then that would be a crime. But there was none. And so this is not a crime.
You talked about, you said you're portraying this as adults who were at these events that wanted to be, I shouldn't even call them events. That's not certainly how anyone else would label it, but that they wanted to be there. But they also allege that they were recorded and essentially used as blackmail. Is that not true?
That's not true. That's not true.
How can you prove that when they have electronic evidence that, as they argue, over 90 cell phones, laptops, iCloud storage accounts, 30 electronic and storage devices, hard drives, thumb drives?
Yeah.
You're not worried about that?
No, because if they had it, they would have put it in the indictment. And it's not in the indictment.
When it comes to your client's credibility, I think people will look at what he said last fall. And it's not just his attorneys. I mean, he pays those attorneys. They're speaking on his behalf. They're the ones calling her claims baseless and ridiculous. And when you read the indictment today, they line up with what she alleged in that lawsuit last fall.
If the claim is that he had unwanted sex with her, that claim is baseless. And it will be proven to be baseless when we have a trial.
But the claim is obviously the conspiracy, the racketeering. It's much larger than just that, obviously, as you know.
It is, but the government wants it to be. But count 2, which is the sex trafficking count, relates to one person and one person alone. All of this talk of dozens of victims and 50 witnesses, if they had that, if they really had it, it would be in the indictment.
This is what the NWDA. I want you all to pay attention. So with that all being said, he's saying that all of this stuff is just a load of BS. Well, here's the thing. You better get in he's in for a treat, because I did my research, and the Southern District of New York, well, they have a 99% conviction rate. 99%. Okay. So he's going to lose. He's going to lose. And at the end of the day, what is he talking about? I mean, he's trying to act like, this was mutual combat, like I said, and these people, they consented to do these things. What about those recordings? And here's the thing. Now, he did say something I found interesting. He said if they had all of those recordings and stuff, why didn't they put that in the indictments? Isn't that what I said? Where's all the video recordings? Why didn't they mention any of that in the press conference? Why wasn't any of that shown? They just showed us baby oil and guns. That's because this is a cleanup job. That's what it is, a cleanup job. They're trying to protect certain people, and so they're not going to enter some of that stuff into evidence. That's what's not going to happen. Okay, they're going to hide some of that stuff at the end of the day, just like I told you, because that's the first thing he said. If they had it, why wasn't it included in the indictment? They do have it. So why wasn't it included? Unless they're trying to protect certain people. That's what this all boils down to. But anyway, I digress. Now let's move on, because I got to get to this Trump and Biden stuff real quick. Before I do, let me have a word from my sponsors while I get the next receipt available. Okay? Thank you all. Likes up, everyone, please. Thank you in advance.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so you can order your 12 Tribes at Etsy.com, go to Lisa Crafts, and also you can purchase it at Walmart.com. Okay, so now let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share, because Cassie and Lil Rod. Update. Attorneys for Don Richard, Cassie, and Lil Rod reportedly issued statements amid Diddy's federal indictment. Okay, so here's what they have to say. Separate attorneys for Don Richard, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, and Rodney Lil Rod Jones have issued statements in reaction to Diddy's federal indictment. Now, according to CNN, Richard's attorney, Eric Fudali, has informed the outlet that the singer is grateful that the Department of Justice decided to pursue charges against Diddy. Additionally, the singer is reportedly looking forward to a fair trial, saying that it's been stressful and it's been tough. Okay, she subjected herself to a lot of ridicule, but seeing the DOJ come forward with an indictment has really been encouraging. Now, Fadali adds that Richard is happy to see that there has been a striking similarity between the indictment and the allegations made in her civil suit. They're saying that a lot of the allegations are substantially similar, such as the sex trafficking and the forced labor, okay, constricting her movement and such. This is what the lawyer concluded. Now, according to NBC News, Fadali also elaborated on his thoughts outside of the 54-year-old's court hearing on Tuesday, September the 17th, saying, so like many alleged victims, Miss Richards suffered in silence for a long time. Mr. Combs is a very powerful individual. It's very difficult to come out against someone like Mr. Combs, but it was seeing Cassie file her lawsuit and go public that really gave her, Dawn Richard that is, a sense of empowerment, that it was her turn and that it was her time to move forward with her allegations. Now, they go on to say that previously it was reported that Richard accused Diddy of S abuse and in her lawsuit. Additionally, the singer alleged Diddy inappropriately touched her on numerous occasions. Furthermore, Richard alleged that she witnessed Diddy's verbal abuse toward women and his physical abuse toward Cassie. Now, as for Cassie and Lil Rod, okay, in the earlier report published by CNN, the outlet shared a statement from Cassie's lawyer, Douglas Wigder. Now, Wigder remained brief while acknowledging the numerous inquiries that his firm has reportedly received for comment on the recent events, saying, in response to the numerous inquiries we have received regarding the indictment of Sean Combs, neither Ms. Ventura nor I have comment. We appreciate your understanding, and if that changes, we will certainly let you know. Now, the Shade Room previously reported that Cassie accused the 54-year-old of S abuse, trafficking, and assault in a suit filed in November of 2023. However, Cassie alleged that it was privately settled, but however, Cassie alleged that she was brutally beaten and raped by the music mogul. Additionally, the singer alleged that she was forced to engage in non-consensual sex acts and other alleged offenses. Additionally, Tyrone Blackburn, an attorney for Lil Rod and two other victims who have accused Diddy of sexual misconduct, also spoke out on the evening of Monday, September the 16th, saying that we leave the criminal aspect of this case in the hands of the people and justice system. Okay, as for the civil cases, we await our time for the facts to reveal themselves and to seek the justice our clients deserve. We knew this was coming. The evidence is very clear, and it was only a matter of time. This is an important step towards justice for all of Mr. Combs' victims, including my clients. Justice will prevail. Now, it was previously reported that Rodney Lil Rod Jones worked as a music producer for Diddy and accused him of harassment and assault. Okay, more details on Diddy's federal charges. Okay, so they're going to talk about the 14-page document. I'm not going to get into all of that because we already know exactly what was in there. But then they're calling Diddy a manipulator. Okay, meet Sean Diddy Combs, manipulator in chief, who was once compared to Ghislaine Maxwell, no less. And so they say Sean Diddy Combs once called his Combs Enterprise chief of staff, Christina Corbin, his right hand. But a source close to the federal SEX trafficking investigation into him believes that she was more of his manipulator in chief. Okay, so I misread that. I thought that's what they were calling Diddy. But they were saying meet Diddy, Sean Diddy Combs' manipulator in chief. Okay. So they're saying that she was manipulating these women and people for him. Okay. Goes on to say if anybody is a gatekeeper, Christina would know everything. This is what a secret source told the New York Post, saying that high-ranking supervisors were flagged in the 3-count federal indictment charging Combs with trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Okay, now Combs has pleaded not guilty to the charges, but remains in custody on a judge's orders after a $50 million bail bid was rejected. Corbin has not been arrested or charged with any crime. Now, according to the indictment, Combs is alleged to have used certain employees, including high-ranking supervisors, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial SEX ring, although none of his employees were named in the papers. So the supervisors facilitated SEXual performances dubbed as freak-offs, which included SEX workers and stocking the hotel rooms in advance with the required freak-off supplies, including controlled substances, baby oil, lubricants, extra linens, and lighting. This is all crazy. So during raids at Diddy's mansions earlier this year, narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant were seized by federal agents. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because this is just old. This is all crazy. Now they say, hold on, let me see what they're saying about Corbin. Likes up, everyone, please, like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, now the feds have gotten evidence from a lot of sources, recordings, text messages, names, texts from Christina Corbin. Okay, they say Corbin did not return the request for comment on Tuesday, but in 2021, Diddy had posted about her on Facebook saying, "She's been my right hand for the last 8 years and has consistently proven to execute and get ish done. Don't know how I'd function without her." Okay, that sounds incriminating to me. Okay, that sounds pretty incriminating. According to, I mean, if you take that and compile it with the evidence and the allegations in Rodney Jones's lawsuit, where he was basically saying that she was the right hand man and compared her to Ghislaine Maxwell, and said that she was responsible for making the payments and making sure all the illegal substances were there. Okay, please pay attention. Now, Lil Rod, born Rodney Jones, also alleged in an amended complaint that Corbin required Combs' domestic employees, including the butler and chef and housekeepers, to carry a fanny pack with Coca-Cola, GHB, ecstasy, marijuana gummies, and a pink drug called Tootsie, which they found at the hotel on Monday night when they apprehended Diddy. So he's still doing the Tootsie. Please pay attention. Talking about he went to rehab, please. Okay, now a combination of ecstasy and Coca-Cola is what Tootsie is. Now, so Combs could indulge in his drug of choice at any time. Corbin, according to Lil Rod's suit, also knowingly and intentionally participated in, perpetrated, assisted, supported, facilitated in a SEX trafficking venture. And so this is the thing here. This woman, in my opinion, will be one of the people that testifies against Diddy because they've got the goods on her. Okay, this sounds like they've got the goods on her. So she's likely going to be one of those people that I talked about being unindicted co-conspirators. Okay, please pay attention. Now, as the chief of staff, Corbin, according to Lil Rod's suit, was instrumental in organizing and executing the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act enterprise that he claims Diddy was running. So she was like one of the heads. And when they talk about these high-ranking supervisors, no doubt in my mind that they're absolutely talking about Christina Corbin. And now they say they've got recordings and voice messages from her, texts and all this stuff. Also, according to Lil Rod's suit, Corbin had another employee, Stevie J, recruit SEX workers to participate in the freak-offs. Lil Rod's lawsuit is ongoing, but Diddy's attorneys have filed requests for it to be dismissed, saying that Mr. Jones's lawsuit is pure fiction, a shameless attempt to create media hype and extract a quick settlement. Mr. Jones was not threatened, groomed, assaulted, or trafficked. We look forward to proving in a court of law that all of Mr. Jones's claims are made up and must be dismissed. This is what attorney Erica Wolf said. Coram joined Bad Boy Entertainment as a senior executive in 2013 and became a manager for Diddy, the director, office of the chairman of Combs Enterprises. Okay, according to her now deleted LinkedIn profile, she was appointed chief of staff in 2020. Christina might be cooperative, says the source, referring to the federal case against Diddy. At least if she's smart, she will be. Oh, she's smart. She's already cooperating, honey. I can guarantee you that. Because, like I said, she's not trying to catch any charges. Okay, she's not trying to go down along with Diddy. So all these people are going to be testifying against him. All these people that were his co-conspirators, these people that were working with him, these people that were at the parties, who saw many of the things that were done. These people are all going to testify against him. And then the thing of it is, Mark Agnifilo is talking about there's only one victim when we have all of these different lawsuits. Okay, with different victims. So he thinks the feds just only talking to one, which would be Cassie. That's crazy because they absolutely had spoken to 3 or 4 of them the days of the raid, 3 females and 1 male. Okay, so that makes no sense. All right, so there's your Diddy news for today. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, with that all being said, let's get ready to talk about Trump and Biden, because Biden is just so ridiculous. Hold on, beloveds. Let me change the time on this next live because I'm going live on the backup channel. Supposed to start at 11:40, but we're still on this live, so I'm going to change the time real quick. We'll change the time real quick. Okay. Change that to 12 o'clock. All right, so now let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. First of all, there's more information on the Trump shooter, but Biden. Now they've asked Biden to give Trump more security. Okay, and then they also talked about David Muir, who was one of the moderators during the debate. Well, they said that he's lost some of his viewership because people were saying he was biased and all this and that. I mean, even people who don't like Trump did admit that that man was biased. Okay, well, please pay attention. So with that all been said, hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, here we go. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, suspect Ryan Wesley Ralph appears in court, faces gun charges after Trump assassination attempt. Now, this came out yesterday. So they say both Trump and Vice President Harris are returning to the campaign trail on Tuesday. Trump blamed Harris and President Biden for encouraging the attempts on his life with their political rhetoric. Are y'all hearing this? Are y'all hearing this? Now, I don't care about Kabami and Biden, but what we're not going to do, Trump, sit down somewhere. Now, he's trying to act as though the people are out to get him due to what Biden and Harris said. Maybe it's just because people think he's nefarious, okay? Biden on Monday condemned political violence and urged Americans not to give any oxygen to violence. Trump is scheduled to hold an evening town hall in Michigan while Harris is set to interview with the National Association of Black Journalists. Trump himself appeared there last month. So Harris is finally going to show up. She's finally going to show up. I find that interesting because she pretty much dissed them last time as far as I was concerned. Okay. But anyway, I digress. Now, ABC News, ABC News. Okay, hold on. I'm going to share my screen so you all can hear what he has to say about it all. Because he says he thinks it was his duty to ask questions. But what he didn't do, he was fact checking Trump, but they didn't fact check Kabami. Okay, Kabami was up there telling lies too. I just want y'all to pay attention.
And we spent a lot of time, and I believe it was our duty to ask the issues that Americans care about. You know, the economy. Are we better off than we were 4 years ago? Immigration. What are you going to do about the border? Why did you wait so long before you acted on the border? Those types of questions. Reproductive rights. Afghanistan. Do you bear any responsibility? Peaceful transfer of power with the next election coming. You know, these are all really important issues. The issues of our time, really. And I always say as a moderator, you know, what the candidates decide to do with that time, you can ask the questions, but they'll answer with whatever they choose to answer with.
That's right.
And you have to be ready for whatever might come your way, even the most unexpected of moments. As you all know, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And I will say this. All of the noise that you hear afterward about, which candidate won the debate, did the moderators win or lose, that's just noise.
Yeah.
You all know that. The most important thing to remember is that you all have the power. Everybody at home has the power to vote.
I'm calling BS on that. Listen, here's the thing. At the end of the day, the people don't have the power. The United States government does. Okay, so he can miss me with it. At the end of the day, he knew what he was doing. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about it. Likes up, everyone, please like and he talked about them asking questions and what their duty was, but he didn't talk about them fact checking Trump and not fact checking Kabami. Okay, so let's get into it. Yeah, right. Because I pay attention to everything. I'm sorry. Okay, so ABC's World News Tonight anchor David Muir may have driven away some viewers after the Disney-owned network irked conservatives during the last debate. Muir and co-moderator Lindsey Davis fact-checked former President Trump 5 times without ever correcting Vice President Kabami Harris, prompting a plethora of conservatives to suggest that the debate wasn't fair. Okay, Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America even called for a correction after Davis made an abortion claim made during the debate during one of the fact checks on Trump that the group was 100% inaccurate. Do you all remember that? And it's probably the claim that I brought up. Remember when Trump said that the former mayor of Virginia had in fact talked about having the baby killed after birth? Do you all remember that? And they said there's no state that allows abortion or allows a baby to be killed after birth. Well, quite frankly, that's what the mayor of Virginia did say. I showed you all the video. Do you all remember that? One's in the chat if you do. The former mayor of Virginia said that if the child is born with significant abnormalities, severe abnormalities, then they may not resuscitate the child if need be. They will wait the baby to the side and wait to see what the parents want to do. So you mean to tell me that if these parents don't want this child because it's deformed, it has abnormalities, then they can just let it die? That's exactly what he said. So where's the lie? Now they corrected Trump on that, and Trump wasn't lying. That is in fact what the former mayor of Virginia said. But I found it interesting, but they corrected him on that, but didn't correct Kabami when she was up there lying through her teeth. So with that all being said, goes on to say Muir's World News Tonight averaged 6.7 million viewers on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night. The three episodes following the debate, after averaging 7.6 million in 2024, leading up to the debate. So they lost about 1 million viewers. It looks like. Okay, so the 12% drop in viewers for World News Tonight is more significant than slight declines. Okay, from CBS Evening News and NBC Nightly News. Okay, they saw this when comparing the 3 episodes following ABC's debate. Okay. Now, what's unclear is if Trump supporters have tuned out ABC's newscast on the heels of the debate. Now, the former president has blasted it's one-sided. Okay, he's blasted it as one-sided, and basically he said that it was 3 against 1. It was him against the 2 moderators and Kabami, and that's true. But anyway, every one of them should have been questioned by David Muir. Who I've lost a lot of respect for. Everyone's lost respect for him. Now, that's what Trump said last week. Nah, everybody didn't lose respect for him because Kabami's people, they love that they did that. They love the fact that they were fact-checking Trump. And I just want you all to pay attention because here's the thing. When you're giving the news and commentary, now what I try to do, and sometimes I may fall short. But what I try to do when I'm giving news and commentary is I try to be unbiased. I try to be fair. If I see Trump doing something foolish, telling lies, I'm going to call him out on it. If I see Kabami doing the same, I'm going to call her out on it. But what I see from people who love Kabami is they don't ever call her out on anything. And for those of us that do, then they get a problem and say, oh, you just must be following Trump or you must be a Trump supporter and all of this ignorance. But they don't mind when things are said about him that aren't true. But if the same things were said about Kabami, they would have a problem. And I just want you all to pay attention to that. Okay, because what's fair is fair. Okay, what's fair is fair. Okay, thank you, Tia Yah. Tim, y'all said, Queen, you are fair and unbiased. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. You know, I'm just here to tell the truth. Now, I know support the arts and some of these Kabami fans and Biden sexuals, they don't think that I'm fair. They think that I'm biased for Trump. The reason they think that is because they don't like for me to tell the truth about the people they admire. They don't like for me to call out Biden as being a whole racist, just like Trump, and even worse and more so. They don't like for me to talk about how Kabam is not really black and how she's pulled this whole, this whole scam on people, and how she's just not good at answering questions, and how she just, uses Trump's talking points and even his policies, and how she's just full of crap and saying that she's going to do this and then turns around and says she doesn't want to do it and won't give us an accurate explanation as to why she's flip-flopping. They don't want me to call those things out, but I'm going to call them out because I don't give a damn who gets mad. Okay? I'm the queen of this channel, the queen of receipts. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm going to drop is receipts. Okay? So that's just how it goes. But let me continue. So it goes on to say that every one of them, according to Trump, should have been questioned by David Muir, and he says he lost respect for him. Now, ABC News defenders, those who are clearly for Kabami, have pointed to a 2-week blackout of Disney-owned stations on DirecTV because of a carriage disagreement from September the 1st through the 14th. However, the weekday episodes of World News Tonight that aired prior to the debate were down only 8% from the program's year-to-date totals, making the compared drop of 12% for the episodes that aired after the debate. Okay, so here's the thing. On Sunday, ABC News Martha Raddatz even noted that Harris was wrong when she said there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war around this world. Now, Redat says our fact checkers found that to be false. Yeah, it was false. I knew she was lying when she said it. Okay, just like she lied about a couple of other things that they didn't bother to mention. And what's up with that earpiece that she had when people were giving her talking points? See, the Kabami lovers didn't have a problem with that either. But if Trump had something in his ear and people were in fact telling him what to say and how to answer, then they would have had a problem. Okay, so I just want you all to pay attention. See, they're the ones biased, not the queen. Okay, I'm just telling the facts on both sides. And because I don't pick a side, they want to call me biased because I'm not picking their side. But let me continue. So there are currently 900 U.S. military personnel in Syria. Okay, 2,500 U.S. troops in Iraq. All have been under regular threat from drones and missiles for months. Now, we also have action in the Red Sea, according to Raddatz. Also, every single day, the Navy SEALs, Delta Forces, special operators can be part of any sort of deadly raid at any time. Now, Muir and Davis failed to correct Kabami Harris in front of the debate's massive audience of nearly 70 million people. Why didn't they correct her since they want a fact check? Okay, that was a very big lie right there. That was a huge lie. And I want you all to pay attention because as I told you, all they have been doing is pushing narratives. Look at Support the Arts. I knew it was coming. Support the Arts says, how can you be black and support Trump? I don't know, beloved. As someone who's black and who supports Trump, my question is, how can you be black and support Trump or Kabami Harris? Support the arts. How could you? Neither of them's going to give you reparations. Neither of them has a black agenda. Okay, at the end of the day, Kabami is even worse as far as I'm concerned. I mean, because Trump did give the First Step Act and the Platinum Plan. What's Kabami going to do? Oh, that's right, nothing. She already told us. But let me continue. So with that all being said, support the arts, beloved. Don't be mad at the queen. The truth is the truth. And so with that all being said, I want you all to pay attention to how they try to paint narratives. Just like they came out the other day saying that, oh, Trump said he's going to send the Haitians back. First of all, he said he was going to send people back to Venezuela. Wouldn't that make them Venezuelans? And aren't they the ones with the gangs? But then they tried to say, well, he meant the Haitians. He just said he was going to send them back to Venezuela. He meant this or he meant that. How do you know what he meant? See, people paint narratives. That's all I'm saying. Now, if Kabami had done the same thing or said the same, they wouldn't have the same energy and smoke. That's what they wouldn't have. All right, so please pay attention. Now, let's talk about y'all's President Biden. China. And what I find interesting about this is like Biden is just sitting there like he doesn't know what the hell's going on. And if he does know what's going on, okay. So let's get into it. China slapped new export controls on a batch of minerals such as antimony, vital for the U.S. defense industry as a flame retardant component used in machine bearings in a move that could send prices in the defense sector soaring. Okay, now this little known metal is used in ammunition, infrared missiles, nuclear weapons, and night vision goggles, as well as batteries and voltaic equipment. China produced nearly half of the world's antimony last year. Now, the limits which kicked in on Sunday apply to 6 antimony-related products, including antimony ore, antimony metals, and antimony oxide. Now, the U.S. consumed some 22,000 tons of antimony last year. China accounted for 63% of U.S. imports of antimony metal and oxide last year, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Now, the next largest supplier is Belgium, which offered some 8%. Okay, so let's see what y'all's president has to say about it. The likes up, everyone, please like and share. Here we go. Hold on. Hold on. I don't know how this popped up. Hold on, beloveds. Let me try this again. Okay, here we go.
This comes as Russia and China held the largest military drills since the Soviet era, which included 90,000 troops, 400 warships, and 120 planes and helicopters. But Joe Biden is brushing off Putin's threats to attack NATO if Ukraine is allowed to strike inside Russia.
What do you say to Vladimir Putin's threat of war, Mr. President?
I don't think much about Vladimir Putin.
Here to react, former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Kurt Volker. Kurt, thanks for being here. Why have Russia and China been driven together, and why are we seeing such robust military exercises near one of our states?
Well, they share an interest in disrupting the global world order that has existed for 70 years and created peace for the last 70 years. China wants everything to revolve around itself, and it wants to replace the United States. Russia is just trying to rebuild the Russian Empire. So they share a little bit of a common interest. But let's be clear, in this, Russia's the junior partner. China is actually the big concern. And they're doing these exercises just as a way to try to get under our skin.
Well, Kurt, we're at this point, there's talk of Western-approved long-range missiles into Russia. Wouldn't that lead to an escalation that Vladimir Putin could use as a justification to widen the war? Are we not making a wider war more likely by approving something like that?
Actually, I think if Vladimir Putin could escalate, he would already be doing it. I don't think he's gone into Ukraine just in a half-measure effort saying, oh, maybe I'll take it, maybe I won't. He's throwing everything at this he can. He is literally trying to overthrow the government, take over the entire country. And his forces have bogged down in eastern Ukraine to some degree. He's not able to defend other parts of Russia. And he's doing this from bases inside Russia. So basically, by telling the Ukrainians, oh, don't hit back, we're basically telling them, give Russia a sanctuary. They can come, strike you, and then go home and be safe.
Well, yeah, but that's if you're talking about the war in a vacuum. Like, okay, but if by allowing the West to use Ukraine to use Western-made missiles and approving it from NATO countries into Russia, you are giving him license to widen the war. You're making it more likely that America gets directly involved. How is that in our interest?
Well, first off, we're not directly involved, but more importantly, Putin already sees himself as at war with the West. They've conducted cyber attacks, they've conducted targeted assassinations, they've conducted arsons, and They are literally trying to take over Ukraine in order then to threaten other allies that we actually do have to defend in Europe. So Putin is actually on the march here. It's very important that Ukraine stops them so we don't face a bigger problem.
Kurt, real quick, do you really think Vladimir Putin wants to go to Paris, to Munich?
Paris, no. The Baltic states, yes. Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, parts of Poland, yes. Finland, I would watch out because that also used to be part of the Russian Empire.
So it's reuniting the USSR in your view, which I think is more astute than believing he wants to go all the way through Europe. Kurt Volker, thank you for your time. I appreciate your insight.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
This is all crazy as far as I'm concerned, because at the end of the day, the United States needs to mind their business. They never can do it. Okay, so now they're sitting up here getting all involved in this BS, which they've been involved the entirety of the time that Russia has had this stuff going on with Ukraine. What are they going to do if Russia decides they want to take us out? What are they going to do then? And Biden's sitting there acting like he's so unbothered with his silly self. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. Okay, he doesn't have a clue what is going on. I don't know why they don't just tell him to step on down and just put Kabami in there until the election, because this man doesn't have a clue. Okay, he doesn't have a clue what's going on. But speaking of Biden, and here's the thing. They're making, in my opinion, the United States is making, unneeded problems with countries that they shouldn't be trying to make problems with. All right. That's right. State says the U.S. cannot handle their own business. Exactly. Okay, exactly. Like they need to sit down somewhere. Like, first of all, I like Putin. I don't care what they say about Putin, honey. I like Putin. Putin hasn't done anything to the United States as far as I'm concerned. Putin is not a colonizer. Okay, it's the same person who helps Africa, so they can miss me with it. Do you all notice how the Democrats never like people from foreign countries, leaders from foreign countries who help black folk? Do you all notice that, how they got Muammar Gaddafi killed? Okay, Obama gave Hillary the okay to send NATO to kill Muammar Gaddafi. Y'all remember that? Let us not forget how they demonized Fidel Castro for decades. Couldn't stand Fidel Castro, the same man who helped and stood by Malcolm X. I wonder why they didn't like him. And now they don't like Putin. And look at all that Putin does for Africa. So at the end of the day, they never like these world leaders who don't have a problem with black folk, no matter where these black people reside on the planet. I just want you all to pay attention to that, okay? Look at Support the Arts, talking about Kamala will get this all straightened out. Support the Arts, please sit down somewhere. I cannot with you. Please sit down somewhere talking about she's going to get it all straightened out. Okay, if you say so, beloved. Now let's get into it, because Biden, Nita's a Mice World said, get him, Queen, okay? Terry Hinn said, Russia is using Africa just like China. I have to disagree. Well, I don't think so. I have to disagree. Of course, China's using Africa. They're going over and taking up all the resources. Putin helped Africa to get rid of all that debt, the millions of dollars in debt. And he's not a colonizer, nor has he ever been. So I don't know how Putin is using them. Okay, I don't know how Putin's using them, but China definitely, yes. But the Africans allow it.
Okay. On a very serious note, so I saw you on Fox's morning show the other day talking about Mr. Trump's life being saved again, being providential, and God protected him twice. I want to ask you, Donald Trump is going back out on the campaign trail today. He will be in Michigan, and then tomorrow he will be campaigning actually for your House seats in Long Island. It's very important. But my bigger point is, how is it possible, what has transpired, that there has not been a presidential order to give Trump full presidential protection? How is this possible? I'm outraged by this.
We should be outraged, and we're making every demand for that to happen. The Secret Service, as you've seen reported, suggests that they have a manpower shortage. And look, this is about allocation of resources. I was talking with Chad Wolf about this, who had a lot of experience over Homeland Security, and the challenges are there, but they must be met. The last director of the Secret Service, the one that resigned right after the Butler, Pennsylvania debacle, had said on video that her primary responsibility was diversity in her employment rank. And one has to wonder whether that has something to do, some connection with the lack of personnel that they've been able to recruit and train over the last couple of years. It's a serious problem. It must be addressed. I'm not so sure it's a funding issue, but Congress will be willing to do what's necessary.
It's a political issue.
It's a political issue.
It's a political issue, and there is a person who can make this happen at the snap of the fingers. I mean, Harry Truman used to say the buck stops here. His name is Joe Biden.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I don't know Kamala Harris's role in any of this. I don't even know who's running the country right now. Right. That's one of the great mysteries. But I am really, look, I had two senators on our show last night. I had Tommy Tuberville and I had Rand Paul. Okay. Rand Paul actually is the ranking oversight in the Senate over Homeland Security. I point at my pal Chadwell. Both of them think there may well be another attempt on Trump's life once you let the cat out of the bag, if it were. So I'm just saying, what is Biden waiting for? Manpower? I don't believe that. Reallocate people, money. You're going to, I mean, have you talked to the president? You are the Speaker of the House. Who is going to force him to make this decision?
I will go stand on the doorstep and stomp my feet until he does it, but they don't let me talk to the
Okay, so what I want you all to pay attention to is they're saying that why isn't Biden giving Trump all of the security? Well, they don't care. That's the bottom line. Biden and Kobami, they don't care. They're so busy trying to get Kobami to win that they don't care if somebody takes Trump out. Okay, they don't care if somebody takes Trump out. And hey, who's to say that they aren't involved in it? I have questions because I definitely think the Secret Service is involved in it. Okay, that's what I think. And Biden and Kobami, well, could they be involved? I have several questions. Okay, I don't trust them. At the end of the day, how did that man know that Trump was going to be on that golf course? Who told him the itinerary? I have several questions, all right? I have several questions. And at the end of the day, this is the second time that someone has tried to aim at Trump. But let's not forget, there were two other times when there were plots. Now, they're saying that Rand Paul and someone else believes that there's going to be another attempt. Yes, there is. I believe it. Okay, I told you about the dream that I had in 2020 that Trump was assassinated. I had that dream twice. Okay. So that all being said, I definitely think that something nefarious is going to happen, and likely before the election. Somebody doesn't want Trump to be here for that election, and who would not want him to be here? We're the same people who don't want to give him added security, in my opinion. Okay? My opinion. All right? Queen, like you always say, this is spiritual warfare. Absolutely, beloved. Okay, D-Night said, Queen, you better believe it. Okay, and so with that all being said, Luna says Trump has traitors amongst him. Yeah, he absolutely does. He absolutely does. And like I said, whether I like Trump or not, I don't want to see anybody get assassinated. Okay, not Kobami, not Biden, not Trump. At the end of the day, nobody should be assassinated for their political views or because someone else wants to be in power and doesn't want that person to beat them. Okay, and it's all sounding real suspect. Byron B said, Grassy Knoll 2.0. You already know. You already know. And let's not forget, beloved, that the counter sniper exposed the fact that the Secret Service has been compromised and said that he will continue to expose this because he does not want to see another JFK type assassination. And why would he say JFK? Because the Secret Service, y'all don't think they were involved in the assassination of JFK? They were. They were. I don't care what they told you, who they arrested, who went to prison. The Secret Service was absolutely involved in it. And the person who years later came out with the footage of the limo driver turning around over his left shoulder and shooting Kennedy. And that's why Jackie Onassis tried to get up out of that car real quick. Right? And then some of the people that were close to the vehicle, they all turned up dead. Y'all know that. I'm just telling you. So yes. And then right before that happened, what I also remember seeing on the footage is one of the Secret Servicemen who was on the back of the car got off. Okay, said that he was told to get off. And then when they were asked about who did it and who saw what and where the shot come from, oh, it was somebody on the grassy knoll Please sit down somewhere, honey. The Secret Service been nefarious. Okay, y'all can think whatever you want. Okay, y'all can think whatever you want, but at the end of the day, some of these people absolutely do nefarious things to the very people that they're supposed to be in charge of protecting. Okay, and my dreams don't lie. Like I keep telling y'all, okay, I want y'all to pay attention because at the end of the day, I predicted this in 2020 and have told y'all this a myriad of times since. Just like I predicted Diddy was going to be arrested mid to late September, and there he was arrested September the 16th. I just want you all to pay attention because like I keep telling y'all, when y'all hear other people trying to copy my talking points and y'all hear other people talking about, oh, I predicted this and I predicted that, honey. If you have inside information and somebody told you something, that doesn't mean you predicted anything. It just means that you had inside information. Okay, predictions come from spiritual gifts that some of us choose to have, or some of us have, and we choose to use them. All right. And so that all being said, Leon said all of them got dirty hands. Exactly. No doubt. No doubt. So that girl says anyone who wants to help the blacks and natives in this country end up unalive. They don't like us. This is true. This is all very true, beloved. Okay, you better preach because that is very true. That is very true. Okay, so Queen, I believe your dreams are authentic. Thank you, beloved. They absolutely are. I've been having these dreams since I was a kid. Luna said, Queen, you are a star seed. Thank you, beloved. Thank you. So with that all been said, listen, I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. For those of you who follow the backup channel, we're live on there right after this. Let me drop the link real quick. And also for those of you who follow the spiritual channel, I will be live on there this evening at 6:15 with your spiritual vitamins. And trust me, you don't want to miss them. And you all do know what today is, right? Or what yesterday was. You all know that yesterday was the harvest moon. Okay, the super moon, the harvest moon. For those of you who follow the spiritual channel, you already know what you're supposed to do on that moon. The energy is going to be here for the next 3 days. Okay, so if you didn't do what you were supposed to do, you can still do it. All right, that's for all of my Stardusters in the chat. So, like I said, we'll be live on there on the spiritual channel at 6:15 right now. Get ready for the backup channel. Love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got